Keith Bennett.
Good evening. I was 16, going on 17, soon to graduate from high school. And I came home. I'm always excited to get home. And I opened the door up, and there was my mom sitting in the dining room at the table. But it wasn't my normal mom. It was a cold lady. And we were a happy family, just she and I. And she said, son, sit down. And so I sat down, and she slid a piece of paper across the table, and she said, read that. And I looked at it, and it said Detroit Public Schools, Mackenzie High School, dear Mrs. Claudia Bennett, we need to see you at the school as soon as possible regarding your son, Keith Bennett. I didn't have to read any more of it because it was all flashing back in me. I could feel it in my insides. And she said, son, what is this about? And I gave her the answer that most young men give her. I don't know. And she said, son, you mean to tell me you have no idea what this letter is about? Well, I don't have a clue. She said, well, they want to see me at the school tomorrow. You know that we're on a tight budget. That means I'm going to have to take off from work and go see about you. I said, I don't have a clue. That was a long night. I didn't sleep. I don't even think I rested. And on the drive to Mackenzie the next day, it was silent. Not a word was said in that car. Not a word. We got to the school, pulled into the parking lot, and as we were approaching the school, one of my friends said, hey, Bennett, are we going to the Dairy Queen today? And I'm like, no. We going to the Dairy Queen? No, this is my mom. Took a few more steps. And another guy, hey, Bennett, we going to the Royal today? No, man, come on, this is my mom. We get to the front door of the school, and I knocked on the door. And the security guard opened it up, and he laughed. You're coming in here. Front door. Yeah. This is my mom. And the other security guard looked, and he started laughing too. I said, we have to go to the office. And so we went to the office. We entered the office, and I still remember this because it was a significant moment in my life. It was a long wooden bench. And let me share something with you. If you ever sitting on a long wooden bench, that's not good news. That's a funeral, courthouse, jail. It's not good news. And we sat there. And finally, the door to the principal's office swung open, and he looked out, and he looked in our direction, and he said, Claudia? And she said, Harry. I'm like, damn, they know each other. Who would have thunk it? White principal, black lady, they know each other. And she said, Harry, the last time I saw you, you were the voice of the Lone Ranger. And he asked, what have you been doing, Claudia? And they talked. And I'm like, keep talking, keep talking. And sooner he said, Claudia, come on in the office so we can discuss Keith. And so we go in the office and we sit across from his desk. And he said, Claudia, I'm sure Keith told you why we're here today. She said, Keith doesn't have a clue. And he looked at me and he said, Keith, you told your mom that? I said, well, I don't. He said, well, Claudia, we're here today because Keith should be graduating next year, but he won't. And we're putting him out of the school. I don't know if you ever heard of heartbreak, but I could literally hear my mom's heartbreak. I didn't look at her, but I could hear her heart breaking. I could hear her tears, but I hadn't looked at her. I looked at the principal, and his face told me what was going on next to me. And he finally said, Claudia, it's not the end of the world, though, because Keith is a good kid. Everybody loves him. He's an intelligent kid. Counselors love him. Teachers love him. They just don't see him. Coaches love him. And so we have put together a plan for Keith. We want to send him to Cass Tech night school. And I'm sitting there like, this ain't that bad. And he said, we don't want him to go and sit at home during the day by himself and just waste away. So we got a job for him. And I'm like, well, this ain't bad. And he said, you know what that job is? And I'm looking at him like, I'm waiting. He said, it's a hall monitor. Because he knows where everybody skips at. He knows every door you can get in, every back stairwell, and he knows it. And so we want him to chase down other kids and let them know what happens when you do that. And I'm sitting there like, you done blew everything. Now she know what I was doing. And I could hear that heart just breaking more. And I still hadn't looked at her. She said, but I don't understand this because I give him bus fare every day. I give him lunch money when I don't even eat lunch at work. She said, I buy the gym shoes that he wants, and I put plastic bags in my boots to keep my feet warm. And now my heart was breaking. See, my mother always said a happy child makes a happy parent, and a happy parent makes a happy child. And as we were leaving the school, walking to the car, like most young men, we think we can manipulate women, especially moms. We got them. So I said, hey, Mom. And that head spun around 360 degrees. And this 5'1", 100-pound woman said, don't you say another motherfucking word to me the rest of your life. This lady who raised me in the church, I had never heard her say anything like that. And so we got into the car and, we can manipulate y'all. So as we driving, I said, hey, Mom, she didn't even stop the car. Her head spun around again. Didn't you hear me say, don't say another motherfucking word to me? Wow. So I'm an only child. We had a partnership. You do your part, I do mine. I never wanted for anything. You do your part, I do mine. And so I didn't have to go to school for a while because Cass Tech Night School didn't start for a while. So now I'm in the house by myself. Nobody's out there with me. And it had to be at least 3 months she didn't say a word to me. She cooked as normal. Dinner was on the stove, but she didn't say dinner's on the stove. She just cooked it. We didn't sit down and eat it together anymore. Wow. And so my mom smoked. And so one night I was going to the restroom and I could tell she was woke because the house was dark and I could see that little red dot where the end of the cigarette. And I stopped in her archway and I leaned on her door and I said, Mom, I know you can hear me. I know you're not talking to me. If it takes the rest of my life, I will make this up to you. If it takes the rest of my life. And I remember within 2 years, I not only had finished high school, I got my first college degree. And I got that degree and I rushed to her house and I put it on her mantle, her fireplace. And I looked out of the corner of my eye and I saw her. I saw that smile. I saw that smile. And our relationship had evolved into what it was always about. But that wasn't enough for me. I got married. I raised 2 kids that wasn't mine, and she was proud of me. She would tell me I was a good husband, good dad, but that was not enough for me. So I got my second degree. And I rushed over her house and I put it on the other end of the fireplace. And she said, son, that's not necessary. Take it home. I said, no, I owe you that. She said, oh, son, you've done enough. I said, no, I haven't. And I did it one more time. I went and got my third degree. And she said, son, you have done enough. What's all this about? I said, no, I'm going to make this up to you. And so I've lived my life to repair that heart. Because you're not a man until you repair mama's heart. And so I was blessed that wife got pregnant, her first biological child. And so we were at the old Sinai Grace Hospital, Myers and Curtis. And it was an emotional time because a few floors above me, my great uncle was dying. And he had been my first pastor. And my aunt, who was his sister, had almost been like a grandmother to me. And she came in the room after my son was born and she said, can I talk to you a second? I said, yes. She said, your dad is up on the 5th floor and he'd like to meet you and your family. So I didn't know my dad. I had never met him. Never got a Christmas card from him, birthday card, pair of socks. He had ignored me. Wow, you know what kind of emotions that was? And then I looked in the corner and saw my mom and woo. She wasn't wearing that well at all. And so I said what any man would do. I said, yeah, he can come down and he can meet us. And so he walked in the room and he introduced himself to me. He introduced himself to my wife and he looked at his grandson. Oh, in that other corner, he wasn't going over there. And she was just churning and she was just, and I felt sorry for her, and then he talked a while and then he left and she said, son, what's wrong with you? I said, I'm being the man you taught me to be. You never said anything negative about him. I'm being the man you taught me to be. And in my mind, I said to myself, I don't need a dad now. But I looked over at that little plastic thing that my son was laying in. I said, but he needs a grandson, father. See, that's what God will do. I never met this man in my life, and the day my son is born, he appears. I believe in signs from God. And what I did, I think it validated myself at that day. And we had a great time. He was a good grandfather to my son. He only lived 14 years beyond that point. And today, although my mom's been gone 8 years, I'm still making it up to her. I got to repair that heart.
Keith Bennett, ladies and gentlemen.